Protein has a huge impact on weight loss, and if you're constantly hungry, losing weight feels impossible, and you're thinking, I eat pretty healthy, why isn't this working? There's a good chance you are massively under eating protein. Simply eating enough protein has helped me to lose over 15 kilos now while making my fat loss finally feel easy. Unfortunately, if you're not eating enough protein, your body will fight you every step of the way, and it's going to make your diet feel impossible to stick to. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly why low protein keeps you stuck, how it sabotages hunger, metabolism, and muscle, and how increasing it properly can make weight loss feel dramatically easier. But let's dive into why protein matters first. Let's start with what nobody warned me about when I was going through my 20s, which was muscle loss. When you're in a calorie deficit without enough protein or regular resistance training, your body needs energy. And it doesn't care whether it gets that from fat or muscle. Muscle is an expensive tissue for the body to preserve. So if you aren't eating enough protein to sustain your fat loss phase, you're going to lose it along with fat. And muscle burns calories just by existing. Every time you lose muscle, your metabolism slows down. This is why you can lose 10 kilos, and then in order to maintain your new weight, you need to eat less than before you started dieting. You have lost muscle. Your metabolism has taken a hit. This is a huge problem with people taking weight loss drugs like Ozempic because they just eat less of their previously shitty diet and then wonder why they've now got muscle loss and often bone density loss as well. These weight loss drugs work their best when protein and nutrition is accounted for. Simply eating smaller portions of the diet that made you sick in the first place won't cut it. But when you eat enough protein, which is about 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of ideal body weight, and do even a little bit of resistance training, we're talking 2 to 3 times a week, you signal to your body that we're using this muscle and we need to keep it. Protein provides the essential amino acids that your muscles need to repair and rebuild. So even in a deficit, you can maintain or even build muscle while losing fat. Let's just compare two women, both in a 500 calorie deficit. Woman A, 1600 calories, mostly carbs, just cardio, loses 10 kilos in 3 months, but a portion of that loss is muscle mass. Her metabolism slows. Her weight comes flying back on as soon as she goes back to her normal diet because her new maintenance has lowered to match the lack of muscle. Woman B eats the same calories but high protein, high fat, 2 to 3 strength sessions per week, loses about 8 kilos in 3 months, but almost all of that is fat, no muscle loss. In fact, she's built some additional muscle. Her metabolism is improving. She looks more toned and she's maintaining her results while eating more once she goes into a maintenance phase. This is the same deficit, but completely different outcomes for fat and muscle. And remember, the number on the scale has no idea what's fat and what's muscle. So even though woman B lost less weight, she's healthier in the long run and won't yo-yo back up to her existing weight. I think we get so caught up in the dieting phase that we forget what comes after. You're not just trying to lose weight, you're trying to keep it off. The only way that you're going to protect your metabolism is by protecting your muscle. But protecting your muscle is only half of the battle because if you're constantly hungry, you're gonna crack eventually. So a bit of a background, I am a big eater. I love food. Why do you think I was overweight in the first place? And every time I dieted down to a certain weight, I would get uncontrollably hungry. Circling back to drugs like Ozempic, the biggest thing that they do is suppress your appetite by stimulating your GLP-1 hormone. And it's not a magic pill, it's just a very strong appetite suppressant. If you're on a diet that spurs on hunger, you're always fighting your own hormones. So surely there is a way to diet without starving, right? So just let me explain for a second. Protein keeps you genuinely full. It also affects your hunger hormones, ghrelin, which creates your hunger cues, and then leptin, which creates your fullness cues. When you eat enough protein, ghrelin goes down, leptin goes up. Your body gets a signal that it's eaten enough. And a fun fact, your body has a natural off switch for protein that it doesn't have for carbs. Try eating just meat as much as you can. Eventually, you will get a bit of a gas reflex and not want to eat anymore. That's your body saying that you've hit your protein intake, please stop eating. But carbs don't have that same impact. You can literally eat and eat carbs, and there's always room for a sugary dessert. So, if you want to be comfortably full and not starve your way through your diet, then prioritize protein. Let's compare these two breakfast ideas. So, breakfast A is oatmeal with a banana and skim milk, 300 calories. By 10 a.m., you are starving, you are fighting cravings, you're grabbing an extra 300 calories of snacks just to make it through to lunch. Breakfast B is 3 eggs in butter, bacon, and half an avocado made with some berries. It's more calories, it's about 450 calories, but you cruise through to 12 p.m. without, or 1 p.m. even, without thinking about food. No snacks or cravings. The difference is that protein and healthy fats keep your blood sugar stable and tell your hormones we're good for now and trains your body to eat intuitively. Breakfast A led to an additional 150 calories just to get to lunch, but if you had picked option B, you'd be eating less overall, even though that original meal seems and feels bigger. When I started prioritizing a palm sized portion of meat and eggs at every meal, my constant hunger disappeared. And that is when fat loss became sustainable. I would be easily dropping half a kilo or a pound a week with next to no hunger and have enough energy to work out 5 days a week. But if you're a bit like me and you grew up being told to eat less, move more, you're probably a bit nervous about eating too much protein and fat. That's where the insulin piece really provides some much needed context. So, this is the science that explains why you can eat more protein and fats while losing body fat. And I really want you to just throw the whole calories in, calories out the window for a bit. Insulin is your fat storage hormone. It is the master hormone in your body and the only one that dictates if you store or use fat. Yes, other hormones can impact weight, but they do this by either inhibiting or optimizing insulin. When insulin is high, you are in fat storage mode, and when it is low, you can burn stored fat. You need to understand how macronutrients impact insulin. So, carbs spike it the most. Fats have almost no impact at all. Protein will raise it slightly, but usually you won't see an impact unless you're a type 1 diabetic as well. So, almost no impact as well. The key takeaway here is that protein does not spike your fat storage hormone the way the carbs do. So, if you're eating 1600 calories, but most of them are carbs, rice cakes, fruit, low fat yogurts, or toast, your insulin is spiking multiple times a day, and high insulin creates more fat storage, which means your body can't access stored fat to burn it. You are metabolically stuck, not because you're eating too many calories, but because your hormones aren't wired to burn fat that way. For millions of years, we lived on a meat based diet. Why do we expect our primal bodies to adapt to a modern diet this quickly in terms of the whole human history? When you build meals around protein first, think eggs, meat, fish, and full fat dairy as well, you keep your insulin lower and more stable. Your body gets windows to dip in and out of fat burning instead of constantly just storing it because you can't go from meal to meal without a snack. It takes a couple of hours for insulin to actually come down again after eating. So, depending on how resistant you are, that might take longer. So, if you're eating every 2 hours, you're just not letting insulin get low enough. This is why my approach for my coaching focuses on protein and healthy fats first, with carbs included strategically. It is about giving your body time for insulin to lower and not spiking it too much or too often in the first place. And then on top of that, you can add intermittent fasting. Fasting is a natural low insulin state, and then you can break your fast with high protein and fat, and this will be feeding your body without triggering that fat storage mode. So, protein keeps you full, protein protects muscle, but doesn't spike fat storage, and there's one more thing that makes it the most valuable nutrient. This is my favorite because it's like getting paid just for existing. Protein, as we know, helps you build muscle, and muscle burns calories just by existing. Even sitting on the couch, your muscles are burning energy. The more muscle you have, the higher your TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure. You can eat more and still lose fat as long as you have enough muscle. If you've been eating 1600 calories for months, feeling stuck, like I said earlier, your metabolism has slowed because you've lost muscle. Your TDEE is now matching your deficit at 1600 calories. So 1600 is not even a deficit anymore. You've now just trained your body to be efficient with less food. And trust me, this is not the kind of efficiency that you want. You actually want a body that uses more fuel and is less efficient when using food for energy because then you can eat more. But you start eating more protein and do 3 short resistance sessions a week, you build muscle. Your TDEE might go back up to 2000. Now you're eating 1600 and you're actually in a deficit again. And you're eating more calories than before when you were trying to lose fat and it wasn't working. This is why some fitness influencers can eat 2,500 calories a day and stay lean. It is muscle. Muscle is expensive to maintain, so it burns more energy. That's why I hate the eat less, move more sort of, because it just doesn't work long term. Without protein and muscle maintenance, your metabolism tanks, you hit a plateau, you get frustrated, you gain the weight back, and your next diet requires even less food. Really, it should be eat more protein, lift more weights as a recommendation, because that's what would actually be healthier in the long term. Prioritizing protein and resistance training increases your metabolic capacity. You're building a body that burns more at rest, you can eat more food, and it is more sustainable long term. We want to be the oldest person in the gym and not the youngest person in the nursing home. Lift weights so that your 80-year-old self can help herself out of a chair and enjoy retirement. So, here are some tips to help you in your own life. Firstly, we want to aim for 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilo of ideal body weight. I don't mean your current body weight or your next ideal body weight. I mean, if you pulled out a BMI calculator, what is your ideal body weight as per the middle of that green zone? You also want to make protein the star of every meal and then add resistance training. Just 3 30-minute sessions per week. Work on compound movements like squats and deadlifts and push-ups if you're low on time. These compound movements are going to protect your muscle, but they're also using multiple muscle groups at the same time, so you can fit them into a shorter session. I personally use the Ladder app and I train with Aria at the moment. I love how she structures her workouts and she always includes 3 priority days, so I know what to do when I can't do my 6 planned workouts. Generally, I do 3 to 4 gym floor sessions a week and then 1 Pilates session a week. The next thing is don't fear eating more. If you are stuck at 1,200 calories, try 16 to 1,700 with most of that coming from protein and fats and watch what happens. It's going to be really important. If you're used to eating that little food, you are going to probably want to reverse diet for a bit, build your muscle, and then enter a deficit. It's going to be better for you long term, even if you're not seeing the fat come off immediately. I know how frustrating that can be, trust me, but I would rather you be healthier going into your next deficit than just struggling and continuing to lower your food even further. Overfeeding studies have also proven that you can eat more calories, up to about 300 a day, if your diet is low carb, high fat with moderate protein. And by moderate protein, I mean enough protein. Calorie counting only really applies if you keep carbs high, unfortunately. And if you are ready to apply all of this properly, my 6-week metabolic method is the complete system, everything from protein targets, step counts, coaching, carb cycling, and support with recipes and shopping lists. And if you're still in learning mode, then just start with the free masterclass that I've linked below. I talk about the top fat loss mistakes that you're probably making right now and how to fix them. Choose the level of support that you need. Everything is in the description. In this video, I mentioned that to lose weight, you must control your insulin and blood glucose levels. So it's only fitting that I send you off to this video next, which is all about glucose and insulin hacks that I tested on myself with my glucose monitor. Remember, you deserve to lose fat without being hungry. You deserve a body that works with you, not against you. So start with protein. I promise it changes everything. And if this helped, please hit that like button. It helps others just like you find videos like this. And drop a comment telling me your biggest protein struggle, and I'll see you in the next one.